Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Exploring Operating Systems. We are going to be taking a look at another Windows release kind of thing, a variation of Windows XP called Windows XP Starter Edition. This is also another version of Windows that has been highly kind of researched and also showcased on other YouTube channels, but I want to do my own spin for the simple reason that I've got some ideas that some people may or may not like based on this operating system. Now you've probably already seen me do a showcase on Windows XP itself. We're all familiar with Windows XP now through Service Pack 3, but because it's been so long, some of us may have not been familiar with how it was when it first was released. Also showcased another version of Windows XP called Windows Point of Service Ready 2009, which was an iteration of Windows XP based to run on stuff like tills or cash registers, as they're called in America, and ATMs and so forth. This version, for those you probably know or don't know, this version of Windows XP called Starter Edition is built to run on budget, more low-end hardware, and it's basically meant to be It was meant to be marketed in low-end markets as well, such as Malaysia, Indian countries, African countries, and basic countries where there's not a lot of money to go around, kind of thing. But this is a way to try and help entry-level markets get into the Windows ecosystem at the time. Now, the point of Starter Edition is, of course, to be an entry-level Windows XP release. So, because of this, some things have been removed. Many features have either been disabled or removed entirely. I'm actually going to take an extract off of the Windows XP Wikipedia article talking about Starter Edition. I'm just going to go to the specialization bit. The Starter Edition includes some special features for certain markets where consumers may not be computer literate, not found in the Home Edition. These include localized help features, for those who don't speak English, a country-specific computer wallpaper. This version that I have showcased right now is more of like a de facto version. It's got just a simple, basic wallpaper, doesn't have any of the special wallpapers kind of thing. Screensavers and other default settings designed for easier use than typical XP installations. For example, the Malaysian version contains a desktop background of the Kuala Lumpur skyline. Is that right? Is that how you pronounce that? Sorry if I'm butchering that, but there's an example right there. Be like wallpapers and such, and screensavers based on landmarks of a particular country this is marketed in, which is a nice little feature that I think should be in all versions of Windows XP at that point. That's a little bit of a silly that Microsoft didn't use that thing. But of course they did eventually do that with Windows Vista and 7. I know in the British release of Windows Vista and 7 there was a group of wallpapers basically based on the United Kingdom and so forth, and some aspects of the United Kingdom, and certain wallpapers similar to Windows XP with the, I forget what those stones are supposed to be called, but basic stuff like that kind of thing. So they did that with Windows 7 and Vista, but they didn't really do it with Windows XP, which I think would have been quite a nice little thing. So in addition, the Starter Edition also has some unique limitations to prevent it from displacing more expensive versions of XP. For example, only 3 programs can be run at one time, with 3 iterations running at that one time. So you can have 3 applications, say for instance Solitaire, Media Player, and Calculator. There's a Movie Maker on this. At the time, Internet Explorer didn't have tabs, but I'm thinking maybe you can have like 3 windows running of Internet Explorer, so we'll try that in just a bit. Maximum screen resolution is 1024 and 728, but you can't simply set that by default. There's no actually a way. Appearance and personalization, which is limited. Hang on. Yeah, it is limited. You can change the resolution, so that'll be a fun thing. So I will just cut it right there, and I will see if I can change the resolution. So I'll be back in just a second. So we are back, and yes, you can change the screen resolution. I didn't actually realise that initially, but there we go. That's a thing you learn sometime. You also notice that the icons are a little bit large and the cursor is a little bit large. That is for the the special features for people who may not understand it properly, and just get them learning a bit quicker. The maximum screen resolution is 1024 by 768, and there's no support for workgroup networking or domains, which is surprising because no one running on a little cheap computer, or even a, what do you call those computers, netbooks and something like that, which is what this is probably designed for, doesn't really need it. You know, someone who is independent, just wants to go online, maybe play the odd game on their PC, kind of thing, like Solitaire, doesn't really need networking kind of thing. As it's labelled in Windows XP Professional, which was actually the most popular version. Even novices got that. The purpose behind X Professional was for high-end users. People like nowadays would be like gamers and such, people who work in IT, business users and so forth. That is the purpose behind Professional. Now, there's also a 512 megabyte limit on main memory and 120 gigabyte disk size limit. Microsoft has not made it clear, however, if this is total disk space per partition or per disk. There are fewer options for customizing the themes, desktop and taskbar, which if I show you right now, we can just right click, and yeah, there's only few options that you can choose from. You can't change the taskbar, you can't add themes and such. There's over the maximum screen resolution is blah 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 blah, all that kind of lovely stuff. Now, of course, if you continue on that Wikipedia article, I'll just talk about how maybe in some ways this idea that Microsoft had for the start of the maybe caused more piracy than it tried to circumvent. Of course, all the limitations in this would probably cause it to happen, and apparently the charge that was put onto the disk if you were to get a pirated version of Windows XP would cost no more than the production of the disk. So it'd be like 70 cents or 70 pence or something like that, or 70 cents or euros kind of thing. Is not much money at all. Literally, the cost of the product, if you were to get it pirated, would cost no more than the disk itself. So none of the retail stuff. But of course, this was designed to be a cheap budget kind of entry level version of that, to get people on the grips of working with Windows XP. Now, when it comes to support based stuff, local help features and such, that's the purpose behind the large cursor you can see here. It's very, very massive, and also the large icons, which you can't change at all. You can rearrange them, but you can't change the size. Quite a lot of these features have been taken out, but you can still add, folders and such. And you can actually put an exclamation mark on this, which is kind of funny. But there's no like fancy features. It's just a very, very nailed down basic version of XP. It's got all the fundamentals. It's got all the stuff we're familiar with. It's got all the other programs and such, Windows Media Player and all that. Which this is actually Service Pack 3. Excuse me, of starters, if I'm not mistaken. So if I actually go to WinVer, it actually says about 2600 XP Service Pack 3, but it's got the old version of Media Player, which I prefer over the the Media Player you got on Windows Vista and 7 and up. I actually prefer this because it seems more fun, and it's not got many styles. You may have seen me playing about with the styles in the Windows XP presentation that I did, that very long episode, which I didn't think people liked initially because of the fact that it was length and so forth. But it's got some basic stuff, and you could probably add stuff as well from another distribution if you like. So the wallpaper, there's only one up here now, and of course, as I've already mentioned, depending on the space you were at, because this was done for like low cost or low end kind of markets, places like Thailand, Vietnam, um, Asian countries, African countries, and so forth, which don't have a very high budget and not too much cost kind of thing. And of course, if you got it in one of those specific countries, of course you would have a specific variation of the wallpaper and so forth. So you'd have maybe, I don't know, for example, a more Western country, maybe say France, you'd have the Eiffel Tower or something like that. I don't know, something like that. And of course, you can add your own. You can browse, and there's some there's sample pictures here as well, so you can use sample pictures and such. You can add your own, so you can change the wallpaper. It's just something personal, kind of that. They've kept some stuff in, and there's a few wallpapers, screensavers even. So you've got the Starter Edition Windows XP style one, and that is the Starter Edition logo. You can see right here. And basically, this is the same thing as the main Windows XP screensaver, where it just darts around the screen like what you just saw here. So nothing too fancy about that. But this Silk one. Oh, hang on, sorry. Sorry about the screen being in the corner, but this is basically the gist of it. Of course, if this is an actual computer, this would be in full screen. I know that for a fact because I've tried it. And yes, it does actually work with Windows 7 and Windows 10, because I have actually extracted this screensaver before and ran it through Windows 10, and it works quite well. Now, a quote I'd like to mention that I've actually created before is basically anything that works for something will work on a newer thing, but software for a new thing will not work on the old thing. This is basically a JSOP kind of thing. So old software, you can actually get like old software such as the calculator and stuff. You could get that working in Windows 10, for instance, but you could not get something in Windows 10 working on Windows XP. Of course, because of the fact Windows 10 has its own development engine now, it's got the Universal Windows apps now. You can't actually run the Windows 10 calculator on Windows XP anyway. That is just a no deal. But Microsoft did future-proof their software in such a way where, of course, as already mentioned, certain things that work in Windows XP will work in future versions, not the other way around. So, of course, yes, if you are curious enough, you can actually go as far as to, you know, take some stuff out of other versions and just do that kind of thing. Now, as I've already showed this before, I'm just going to show some settings. You can add a custom flag, so I'll probably just make some stuff to showcase, and you kind of see that kind of wavy flag logo. And I'll change the background color, the clouds. I'll change that to something custom. I'll make it a blue water. Could probably invert that, you know, but this is how it looks like now. This is my personalized screensaver. And of course, if you had this on Windows 10, you could potentially have the Windows 10 logo or something going on in the background, and then maybe something to do with Windows 10 in the background as well, maybe the Windows 10 wallpaper and so forth. It does actually work quite well. When it comes to resolution, sometimes it doesn't really work too great. So I could probably modify this, so 16-bit color to get this. No, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm just trying to modify some of these settings and see if I can get this to work. Doink. So preview this, and yeah, pretty much. And now it's lagging. But yes, it does work. You just need to modify it, of course. Image spiral, which is another thing I like as well. So meshes 1, I'm going to show this in its entirety in its raw form first. Very weird, kind of interesting screensaver. It's kind of trippy, but it's a fun little thing to look at. The pictures slideshow, of course, it doesn't actually look for anything too interesting, but I could probably change the destination if I wanted. Let's see. Damn it. Go back to image spiral. Let's change some. I'm going to meshes line. Hello. Please subscribe. Just some stuff to advertise, this series and channel and everything else. Why not just self-insert kind of stuff? Hello, please subscribe. Hello, people. Just to showcase how this would work or show. So Tahoma. That's probably, I don't know how to pronounce it, but progress, rotation, skin. I'm not even sure this does anything too interesting. Oh, it does. That is smart. Fair enough. And of course you can change the resolution, I think, on this as well, to make it match up. So where is this? Right. Okay. Preview again, thanks. Preview. No, it's just made it a little bit larger. But you can, as I say, you can modify this to your liking and everything else. Which is what I think this should have been added to the main version of Windows XP, which is possible if you actually had a computer back then that both ran Windows XP Starter and the main version of Windows XP, whether that's Home Edition or Professional. Of course, people hated Home Edition and Starter Edition, equally in that respect. Many people preferred a XP Professional. Of course, just like now, if you were to get, Windows 10 Home Edition, compared that to maybe Windows 10S, and then which is Home Edition, blah blah blah, and then Windows 10 Professional, and then Education Edition, the prices do vary on that as well. Now, I'm just trying to. Right. I do apologise, but I'm actually quite intrigued by the personalisation with this kind of thing, and I'll get off of that advertising stuff as well. The progress, rotation, spin. What is this? Oh, that is trippy. That is trippy. And choose font, mode, hexagon, triangle, background color, blue hues, geotones. You can't see, move the camera. So it is personal kind of thing. You probably put your name on here as well. So it's a fun little thing. It's quite quirky for what it is. Now when it comes to settings, it doesn't have any user support. It's only got one user, and that's the main user who uses this kind of thing. Of course, I've already shown the appearance and personalization options. There's not that many. You can change the screen resolution, desktop background, screensaver, folder options, which is still in there, which is kind of fun. And as I say, some other settings which I think people have actually made videos on before. There's ways to re-enable certain other things as well. You can't right click on the taskbar to change anything, so that the start menu is always going to be this very kind of in your face kind of big icons kind of thing. You can't change that at all. You could probably you can't even do that either. You can't unpin anything. You can't unpin anything. You can't pin anything as far as I'm aware. Try and see. Come on. No, you can't pin anything to the start menu either. Windows XP Starter Edition Introduction. Basically just a big slideshow kind of thing. That might be on an EOS Quickie or something like that. I might showcase that. But not too much different from the main Windows XP. The only difference is this is Service Pack 3, but it has an old version of Windows Media Player. Internet Explorer, I was going to try that. It was a little bit of an experiment. Open another window. Open another window. So that's 3 already. I'll try to see if I can open another one. Nope. With XP Starter Edition, you can only have 3 windows open within each program that we are running, and then you can only have like 3 programs running as well. So I've got Control Panel working. I'll have my documents, my pictures, and my music. Doesn't work. Solitaire. That is 3 programs already with 3 options running. Won't allow me to do that. So there you go. Just to prove the point, you can modify the Solitaire deck. I'll show you one obscure deck which I've not actually seen before. This very pixelated looking deck of cards here, which is kind of weird. Don't actually know where that's from, but it's very boxy. Now I've shown this before. This little I was going to call him an alien. The space cadet. I forget what you call. Scrap it. This space guy. That actually, it's got an interesting little thing, and I'll probably talk about it later if I go and look at some beta versions of Windows XP, which I'm planning on doing in the future. But that is that. That is just Solitaire for you. Calculator, just the same calculator, nothing different. Nothing too much different, I've got to say. Movie Maker, same Movie Maker, which is kind of interesting because they've got the old version of Media Player, but they've got the updated version of Movie Maker. And depending on the power of your computer at the time, you could probably make videos on this and blah 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 blah. It's a fun time. Entertainment, system tools, you have to activate Windows, of course. I'm not sure if that actually clears the branding on here, but I'm not willing to try that and to find out, because I'm not really interested in that. Add the rest of the bulk, just because I'm interested by that. Now, not too much else I want to showcase right now. You can't seem to change the backdrop colour on this, so you're literally just stuck on the blue colour. You can't really change that. Oh well. So that was Windows XP Starter Edition. Now, I'm kind of like mixed when it comes to the whole kind of thing where people hate this kind of thing. I have seen people make hacked versions of Windows XP. Not hacked as in break into it kind of thing and steal people's information. I mean hacked as in modified versions of XP, where people have actually made better versions of Windows XP Starter through just modifying Windows XP Professional than Microsoft did with their own Starter Edition versions of Windows XP. The same with Windows 7. There is, I'm not trying to advertise any piracy here or anything like that, but I have seen these before in the past. I like to try this stuff out. There is actually a hack. There's a couple of them, by the way. There are two hacks or modifications of Windows XP. One called Windows XP Performance Edition, and another one called Windows XP Micro XP. Micro XP is literally a Starter Edition and then some, because almost everything that makes Windows XP, the only things that remain are stuff that makes Windows XP work, and even then a lot of DLL files have been taken out. A lot of stuff that are quote unquote not needed are out as well as very, very basic. Even down to the fact that a lot of services that make a normal version of XP work don't work. What is this? Well, that's helping such. That's quite interesting. Fair enough. But I mean, just like in Starter Edition, in Micro XP you can't modify the visual style, and there's no web browser installed, there's no Internet Explorer, there's no this, there's no that. Literally, the only thing that remains in it is the Paint program, the calculator, Windows Explorer for the taskbar and start menu, and the Explorer file manager. Notepad is still there, and a lot of the basic, down to the nail basics of Windows XP still remain, and you can add your own as well. But because of the fact that the guy who made that modification removed a lot of important stuff, there's quite a lot of stuff you can't actually install on it. For instance, the startup sound, as well as multiple user accounts, they don't work properly, and try to get a startup sound on that doesn't work properly as well. The Performance Edition is more close to the base, is close to like Home Edition, but even then it has some stuff taken out and everything else, and there are some stuff that's disabled in Windows XP that have been enabled, and some stuff been taken out, kind of thing. So by default, if you want to change the visual style, which by default is the grey one, but you can add back in some additional stuff. It's got the Bliss wallpaper, it's got the the Luna look on it, but it doesn't have anything else besides that. It has some basics and everything else. It doesn't have the games installed. Doesn't have media player installed. Doesn't have movie maker installed. As I say, those stuff you can add back in, and by default you can actually modify the visual style as well, which with other means, with the actual real version of XP, you can't. You have to get a piece of software that allows you to modify the visual styles and so forth. But I am going to shut up now, and I am going to let you all go. But just want to say thanks for watching, and I will probably get onto those modified versions of XP soon, because they're very interesting to look at. I think it would be quite an interesting little thing to look at as well. But with that being said, I am Ricky, this is Exploring Operating Systems, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed this, please let me know down in the comment section what you think of this. Are you among the people that hated this? Because quite a lot of people did not really like this when it first came out. Probably the fact that piracy was up in those countries because of this. And also a lot of people have called this CARP, CARP, a crap, for many different reasons, because it's got so many limitations and such and stuff on it, and a lot of people have called this a money grab. I won't really go that far. You know, software is an expensive thing, so just making a budget version of Windows XP with some stuff taken out just cause incentive for people to go and buy, or at least that's what Microsoft's plan was at the time, was to create incentive to upgrade to newer versions. That's why Microsoft had always had various different versions of their current operating system. One acts as a more budget version, and if you want more, stuff kind of thing, you support the company by getting additional stuff with a newer or higher end copy of the version of Windows you're running, kind of thing. But with that being said, I am Ricky, this is Exploring Operating Systems, and I will talk to you next time.